Well then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be. Welcome to another edition of Vampire the Masquerade Independence. We find ourselves deep below Independence, deep below the freaking concrete jungle, where the streets are pounded on by gumshoes, where the streets are continuously flocked with that of humanity, that of living and breathing people, that of people that are happy and joyous, and the weather outside is just getting a little bit warm. It's turning. It's turning from that god awful winter into a wonderful, fantastic, temperate spring, into a what we suppose to be a rather endurable summer. It is wonderful. It was lovely. At least it was lovely a few hours ago. Um, at the moment, the sun has set. The sun has set, and Independence being a more rural community than the big cities of Dallas and Houston, where the most terrible of evils does partake in, or the most terrible of evils does resides. And here we have the starlight out there. The constellations very, very much well defined. But our story does not begin there. Oh no, if it did begin there, this would be a wonderful story, but this is a different type of turn that we are currently taking. Deep below, deep below those sunny, warm streets, we find ourselves encased in concrete. We find ourselves encased in rock. We find ourselves surrounded by water. It is hot. It is damp. It is like the breathing of a giant esophagus. Every so often there is a brief breeze that blows through. We find ourselves in the inner workings of Independence proper. We find ourselves looking at a newcomer to the city, a new underdweller to the city, a Nosferatu. A Nosferatu that seems to be bending over, crouching next to a big pool that's rather tepid, lucrid water. A big pool in this chamber. He seems to be rather interested in it. If you were to look at his face, if you were to look at his face and look past his disfigured features, you would almost surmise to guess that this thing was positively giddy about spilling his own vitae into that temperate pool. And we begin the scene as such.
And Nasri is just crouching over that little pool, just dripping blood happily.
Right. It won't take very long for Nasri to notice that there is a sound, a disturbance, actually, from the southern entrance of this particular chamber.
If he looks up, will I actually see what the hell it is, or is it something I can't see?
Oh, when you look up, you go ahead and see something that you did not see coming in. You see a bright yellow, neon yellow arrow, actually. It seems to be pointing deeper into the underground.
God damn it, somebody turned on the lights. Once there's an actual full blood point worth of blood in that puddle pool thing, is the neon light actually plugged in somewhere? Guessing there's 50 million extension cords running from the light to a power outlet.
You go ahead and spin the blood point. You go ahead and see your vitae mix in with the putrid waters and dispense, making it nearly invisible. And when you go look up and presumably to investigate the neon sign a little bit more, you do in fact find many extension cords. First, the cord from the sign to the main one, a bright orange one, the one that's used in construction sites most often. But then, as it extends outwards, taking many yards with it, actually, it is connected and hooped with a black extension cord that seems to go on even further down into the underground.
I'm gonna plug the damn light.
Unplug.
I was having fun in the dark, leading into a pool.
You go ahead and unplug the cable, and you'll descend into darkness.
I will resume dripping blood into the pool. It's only been drops, and it's... yeah. I think the blood point expenditure was just for the fact that he's bleeding into the pool. He would have made it take a long time.
Alright then. However long you go ahead and spin is however long you go ahead and spin.
He's informed everybody this is where the spawning pool is, and he's not leaving. He's got homework to do. Oh, that reminds me. Are there any rats? Any non-insect anything anywhere near him?
Towards one end of this particular chamber, you notice a hole in the wall, and from your basic level of animalism, you recognize that this is a nest of rats and rodents.
I went to talk to the rats.
Alright. You can.
I just want to ask, are you thirsty?
Yeah, some of them happen to be a little bit thirsty, some of them happen to be a little bit hungry, some of them happen to be a little bit horny.
I'm only going to help with 2 of those 3 problems.
Describe what you do.
I will gesture to the pool and say, you should come drink this.
You get some of the
tastes
rats.
Better than
Say again?
It tastes better than average.
Alright. You're able to lure and convince few of the rats to go ahead and do so. They walk over, they refresh themselves, they go ahead and clean themselves with little forearms and hind legs and the like.
Sweet. I have bloody ghoul rats. I am happy now. I'm guessing we don't have cell phone reception in this little cave.
You go ahead and try?
Wouldn't hurt.
Alright. What device are you using?
Android smartphone.
Android smartphone. Okay, fair enough. You get one signal. One very base signal. It asks for a password, actually. This would have been a password that you would have gotten over the ShrekNet, actually.
So I'm on ShrekNet Wi-Fi?
You're on a Wi-Fi service. You're not on ShrekNet.
Okay. Then I would put the password in, and I will send a message on ShrekNet to...
You let me explain this just a little bit more. You go ahead and you enter in the password. The password seems to be rather industrial, rather operational more than anything else. And when you do so, you find yourself connected to the Independence infrastructure intranet. You, my good sir, understand that this was briefly explained to you, but you probably didn't remember. That's how I'm explaining this current explanation. The Independence Infrastructure Intranet is the intranet for most applications for the city workers working underground. This Wi-Fi service is not extended everywhere, but it's extended in a few key places. The infranet does not connect to the external internet whatsoever. It is more a utility for workers in the underground. You, my good sir, have been given a email account.
Damn it.
Do you check your emails?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Let me ask you this quick question. If you were asked to create an anonymous email on the fly, what would you title it?
What would I call it?
Yeah.
Spanky Yum Yum. Just because.
One email to Spanky Yum Yum from Addie.
Oh, fantastic. What does it say?
Follow the light, jackass.
God damn it. Don't want to follow the light. Can I reply to the email?
Oh, of course.
That was my reply. Was God damn it. And
There
he'll
was a
get up
light
and fucking back in and follow the damn light.
The neon light?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the good news is you don't have to turn it on. But you do recognize that the extension cable is still there. It extends further on into the underground. Do you follow the extension cord?
Yes.
All right. You go ahead and follow the extension cord. It seems to lead you further and further down. You go down a sloped corridor that leads off into a hatch that goes on and leads back onto a ladder that again proceeds further and further down. The extension cord goes from black to orange to black again. You seem to be following this thing for many yards until eventually you come across a small little power generator. But the question is, do you have any technology or science?
Yes, actually.
Then go ahead
He's
and
got
roll that with
technology and a
intelligence.
science. He's got a science and a technology of 2. Pick your poison.
Either one works. Roll it with intelligence. Difficulty 5.
Like anytime soon.
Well, if you want, I can roll that for you.
It's open. It just takes a minute.
Hey!
Yay, can do the thing.
Can do the thing! Do the thing!
Gotta do the thing. Oh, I did the thing well.
He did the thing well.
I did the thing. I'm Bethel.
You quickly realize that the internal resistance of the extension cable would have been cut off about halfway through your journey. So, the power from this generator would not reach all the way up to the neon sign that you started with.
That's odd, but given the circumstances, it's probably the least odd thing that's going to be happening today.
All right, fair enough. You realize that in front of the power generator there happens to be a another hatch. This one being vertical. It is a hatch that you would premise to be within a ship, a old naval vessel. Actually, you see the handles there, and what you would ought to do if you wanted to open this damn thing would be to turn that big handle and sort of pull it open.
Yeah, I'll head down. As long as I can get back to the spawning pool, which I'm guessing it was only a few hundred yards, he can remember it.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Do not worry about your precious spawning pool. Nothing will happen to the precious spawning pool.
Yet.
Blink, blink. All right. Go ahead and open this this hatch. Go ahead and pull it open and pry it open, and the first thing you smell.
Axe body spray?
Yes. You go ahead and look into this little chamber, and apparently lined on one of the walls happens to be work uniforms. Big yellow jumpsuits with hazmat on it. And yes, you do smell Axe body spray. It seems to be nestled in quite a few of these little cubbies.
I'm taking a can of Axe body spray.
Yes, you can.
I live in the damn sewer. I gotta smell at least something besides urinal cakes and shit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. When you go inside this particular chamber, you recognize that there is another figure here. A figure that may have been obfuscated, or may not have been. Perhaps you just simply overlooked them. But you, being an Nosferatu, do realize the particularities of your clan and their different talents. As you notice this figure just sitting on the bench looking at you.
I'm gonna look at the figure and say, "Hey, I'm gonna steal this can of Axe."
He goes ahead and responds, "I don't really care."
Okay. Pocket the can of Axe. You must be Addie.
The figure goes ahead and extends a hand and says, "Yeah, sure, whatever. They also call me Baker."
Walk over and shake his hand and say, "Baker, Addie, whichever you prefer. I'm Jason. Although everybody's been calling me Nasty forever."
Nasty Jason, it's good to have you. Good to have you. When did you get into the city?
Last night, I actually met with the sisters somewhere in a place with the bouncer, and there was a set type, and I got nothing.
Okay, so you met with the sisters in a place with a Setite. Introduce himself as Crimson?
That was the guy. And I also met Eve.
Oh, Eve, right. What do you know about Eve?
Yeah. I know when I walked in wearing my mask, she thought I was exceptionally pretty, and I will never forget it because that was just hilarious.
She's a rose. And if I remember correctly, she should be the keeper. Keeper of Elysium, I should say. Right. So you're only a few nights in. If you already know, you've already met so many different people.
What can I say? I'm a mover and a shaker.
Well, those are definitely qualities that will benefit you within your city and within your continued existence. Come, let me introduce you to a few other people, and give you a little bit. Give you. I need to show you the treasure hoard.
Lead the way.
Baker will go ahead and lift himself off from the bench and go ahead and walk towards the opposite hatch that you came in. He goes ahead and you realize that this hatch may be rusted, may be requiring a little bit more strength, but you, knowing the abilities of your clan, realize that this is not an obstacle, as the hatch goes ahead and squeals and squeaks with metal on metal and rust on rust. This figure, known as Baker, goes ahead and opens up this hatch, and it seems to lead onto carpet. Red carpet.
Stained red carpet, I'm going to wager.
Some of it seems to be stained. Some of it is not stained.
I'll just stick to the stained parts as best I can.
He goes ahead and walks in. The carpet is definitely stained. The walls looked cracked and made up with different brickwork. But you can definitely tell that this place has been somewhat furnished. As in, these things are deliberately placed here. In fact, a lot of the dust and grime that you would associate with the rest of the underground is not present. He goes ahead and continues saying, "This is one of my places that I try to keep as best as possible. My little atrium that I've been building up here."
Jason's just going to stay quiet and unimpressed. And what do you want, a cookie?
He goes ahead and continues on. Let's see, what exactly is here? It leads off into a sort of office space, and around this office space happens to be actually attracting quite from the norm several different portraits, one of which that immediately catches your eye happens to be one of a creature. One of a creature with an extra head, an extra eye, something that seems scaly as well, and completely albino. You recognize this creature as once being a crocodile or alligator, but shown to the scale that is currently there, that little man. This thing is huge, with razor sharp teeth, and it seems to be in a dark and foreboding type of setting.
We need to get more of those for the spawning pool. That's going to be all he says.
It's like, yeah. In this particular room happens to be a desk. It seems the wood seems as decrepit as everything else, and there seems to be two fine chairs? Question mark. These are two old chairs with fine maple wood and fine red cushions, but it seems as over the years dust and grime has gathered, and the wood visibly and audibly creaks under Baker's tushy.
But it looks pretty vintage.
Looks pretty damn vintage.
Okay. Jason's gonna say, I guess you want me to sit down so we can have a little chat, or...
The chairs are there for your convenience. So, tell me about yourself, Jonathan.
It's gonna be his first reaction is, Well, I was an artist in life. I was also a computer prodigy. My sire decided to teach me a lesson in humility, failed miserably, and sent me here to help shore up the numbers.
Okay, that's good, that's good. Who's your sire?
Her name is Samantha.
Okay. Samantha, and which city does she hail from?
Phoenix.
Okay. Samantha from Phoenix. I'll go ahead and send word out to verify that story. In any case, I wanted to bring you in here and introduce you to something else. I sent a message off to one of the other Nosferatu in this city to come by. She'll be here in about 5 to 10 minutes, but before that, I wanted to talk with you.
Jason will sit down and he'll cross his legs at the ankles and fold his hands in his lap and just look absolutely bored with whatever he has to say.
What do you find yourself doing in this city?
What do I find myself doing?
Imagine that you're still here and not dead in a month.
Part of me wants to, create that spawning pool. But considering the sorry-ass shape of the clan, I'm thinking some kind of organization would probably help. A little bit more cohesiveness. If you don't want the job, I wouldn't mind taking a shot at Warren Chief.
Warren Chief. Interesting. I know that was a position given out to a few of us in California, New York, Florida. Florida was the most successful goddamn Warden Chief I ever goddamn saw. Fair enough. I'll have to look into the title and ask a few different people. You want to be a Warden Chief?
I don't want to be Primogen because I'm not a big fan of Topside. Considering we didn't obviously have a spawning pool, leads me to believe that there's a lack of structure or a lack of numbers.
You be right on both accounts, actually. For the last 9 months, we've been able to hold on a number of 2, and before that, we had no numbers whatsoever, except for moi here.
If you'd like to deal with the politics of the rest of the Camarilla, be my guest. I'm more concerned with the clan as a whole. The Camarilla is not going anywhere. We, on the other...
Say again?
Fuck.
You may have to repeat that. Unfortunately, you lagged out.
We don't have a lot of cohesiveness, and we certainly don't have a lot of structure. And I'd like as the Camarilla is not going anywhere. It's been around for eons, but the clan in the city obviously could be perceived as struggling. Not to mention something just melted through a goddamn steel door, and that was pretty apparent on my way down here.
Oh, that thing. Right. That thing, that thing, that thing, the thing that melted through one of our steel doors. Well, the thing is, actually, god damn it, a few months ago, we had some intruders within our own domain, my domain at the time. I went ahead and fought tooth and nail to get those things out. First, it was some sort of fiery being that I don't have to tell you scared me to ever-living shit. And when it came back, I just went ahead and hoodwinked the Bruja to deal with the problem.
Well, I'd like to not have to rely on anybody else but ourselves. That's why I wouldn't mind trying to be Warren Chief. Because the Warrens are in a pretty bad shape. I think I could help with that.
If you find that that's where your passion is, my good sir, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and take these Warrens under independence as your own personal project. Do so with my blessings, and do so to the utmost of your abilities. If you can turn these Warrens into something that even the Zemisi would fret to come across, I would be absolutely pleased.
The expression on Jason's face is absolutely pleased. He's going to extend his hand and say, "Challenge accepted."
Goes ahead and extends it, gives you a brief shake, so we understand each other.
You can deal with the camera. I'll make sure house and home is safe. Ish. Eventually.
Oh, believe me, dealing with the Camarilla in this city is somewhat easier than dealing with the Camarilla in the other city. I did not jest when I said that I hoodwinked the entire Bruja clan into fighting my battle for me. It was so fucking easy. All I had to do was, I didn't even have to ask. All I had to do was point them in a direction, and they went raging.
They were that eager for a fight?
Yes, they were that eager for a fight. This is a frontier city. You find yourself nestled between two Sabbat strongholds, that being Dallas and that being Houston. The people here are on edge most of the time and are tense. They want a fight. And the best way that I found to deal with the Bruja was to simply show them a fight.
Well, whatever works. If the spawning pool takes off anytime soon, nobody will want to come in the sewer but us. That reminds me, we're going to need everybody who plans on being down here for any length of time to make a donation, or the things that are created. The inhabitants of the spawning pool aren't going to take kindly to anybody that's not us.
Understood and recognized. Safety precaution. I don't think anybody would go ahead and bemoan donating a little bit of their vitae into the pool.
What about the sisters?
The sisters are certainly a special case. They haven't been barred from my dealings with them. I've been able to talk with them quite openly, but if we are increasing in numbers, well, that certainly changed the situation. I was able to deal with them mano a mano because they were the only other Nosferatu in town. Now that we have a incoming number of Camarilla Nosferatu, we may have to divide the sewers up just a tiny bit. That's not to say that I don't love my sisters. It's not that we haven't had a good working relationship. It's simply that some areas we will have to hold for ourselves.
I'm fine with that on the condition that they have an area they're allowed for themselves as well.
I have no problem with this whatsoever.
I'll extend an olive branch and find out if they are opposed to working with me as chief. And I don't see any reason that the working relationship can't continue to work, even if there's more of us than there are of them.
Yes. I
As long
actually...
as long
Say
as
again?
family is put before, as long as clan is put before sect.
Hmm. The sisters owe me quite a lot, actually. Was able to put them in their place, as in lift them up from where they used to be and cleanse them when they were ill. They owe me.
That works for me.
In any case, where is my goddamn mouse?
Well, I was waiting for you to stop talking. Uh, you'll hear from actually from behind one of the chairs that you were sitting in. And Mouse comes, drops her obfuscate, and basically what you'll see is not a Nosferatu, but just a very big bunch of, well, a heap of clothing that's kind of moving and wobbling towards the center of the two chairs, and then drops on the floor again.
Let me introduce you. This here is Mouse.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that because the mouse is in your house, this would be Izzy.
Yes, this is my Izzy, and this is not necessarily, well, this is my house. We looks up at the gray brick walls, the dryness and the dustiness of the area. Well, this actually is my house, so
It's a turn
never
of
mind.
cheek. It's just a phrase.
Yes, this is my Izzy, this is my mouse.
Sorry, this is my Izzy. That just amused me.
I'm his.
Nasri would offer his hand to her to shake.
Well, from out of the pile, there comes a gloved hand that shakes yours, and then it's pulled back into the clothing.
Nasri's gonna look at Baker and kind of tilt his head and say, "She's not comfortable with either the way she looks or me, or the way I look."
Don't mind her. She likes to cover up when she goes topside. This is just the way that she dresses. And yeah, I can't do nothing.
And you can talk to she. You know, she can answer. Really.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable, more uncomfortable.
That wasn't helping. I'm not stupid. I'm... You know. And Mouse will actually pull off a hood and a another one, and big scarf around her head, so you will finally be able to see her bald head with the pointy ears and everything. She'll just look up.
Naz is just going to smile at her and say, in that case, I'm sorry. But it's nice to actually see you have a head and you're not just a big bundle of clothes.
Oh, believe me, many people make that mistake.
It's good to be a big thing of things that we used to cover up.
I should teach you how to use masks, because, man, at that point he's going to look at Baker and say, I went into whatever, the hearth,
Mhm.
and I looked better than many supermodels could. And
Yes.
Eve, like, sprouted girly wood. It was fantastic.
Next time, actually wear a mask. I'm not serious. I'm totally serious at the moment. Ski mask, whatever. That shit doesn't work as technology.
Nope.
And you have no idea how many of my clanmates do not understand that lesson. In fact, I get reports over the ShrekNet about this one fairly foolish Nosferatu that plastered his entire face over this little very, very small newspaper article, but it was enough to set the entire town into tizzy. Of course, the town was currently under a martial law and terrorism was abound everywhere, but still, that shit did not fly.
Actually, I don't need to wear a mask at all, considering I figured out how to get into the hearth with a, through the little back. The sister showed me the back door. I dare say the sister showed me their back door. And then he's just going to giggle childishly.
Congratulations, then. There are many common places within this city that has a Nosferatu-friendly entrance.
I'll just stick to those.
Yeah, it's
No
probably
use,
best.
no use burning blood, putting on masks if I don't absolutely have to.
Mm-hmm. So, besides the sisters and besides Crinden, who else in the city do you know about then? What about the other clans or the other things in the darkness?
That's it, aside from us.
Alright.
At least personally. I've been given the prince's contact information.
Mhm.
But aside from that, I got nothing.
Alright. So you know over the ShrekNet that the Roses own this city, lock, stock, and barrel. But they're the craziest sons of bitches in this city. You start with the prince, Miss Silverberg, actually. That's the contact information you got. She has one childer, that of Everly, who you may have met at the hearth.
I believe that was her, yeah.
Good. She is currently the Keeper of Elysium, although it took several months for her and the rest of the kindred in this city to realize how to set up and protect an Elysium. I remember in the early days we were continuously being sniped by goddamn shovelheads.
And I'm guessing the sisters weren't preventing it, but they weren't helping it?
The sisters were not a part of the attack or the assault on Independence. I kept them out of trouble. They kept me informed. Most of the information that the Camarilla did get about any of the actions of the Horsemen came directly from me.
The horsemen
Oh, the
of the
horsemen. Yeah, horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, it just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was in concept. In actuality, it took us freaking months to finally find all the horsemen, root them out, and get them out of our goddamn city.
Does the rest of the Kindred topside have any kind of information structure?
A type of spy network or a list of contacts?
Both.
Hmm. Let's see. Considering I get most of my information myself, I haven't relied on any of the other kindred to get me that. So I would not know about their information structure.
I'll have to help you work on that.
If you so choose.
It's not getting them to help us, it's convincing them that they want to help us, and then giving us a boon to help us.
There's a there's a chuckle from Baker. I own this city just by social economy.
Let's expand to the state. I don't give a shit.
All right, this is what you need to know. There is currently a harpy in the city. I believe at one point it was Mitch Maverick, but at one point or another that ledger got transferred over to what's her fucking face? Isabel.
What happened to Isabel?
Isabel should still be in the city. Mitch Maverick has not been answering his calls. I think he went underground after a brief masquerade snafu. He was a well-known name in another city, and he plastered his face all over a billboard, which drew in much more heat than he was expecting. So currently he is underground, because he was being foolish. Isabel seems to be a new type into the city, well, newer than Mitch Maverick. Okay, I'll give you the number of Dr. Morgan, and he can get you in touch with Isabel.
Is that a
Barring
requirement? I honestly, this is all topside things that I could give two shits about, with all due respect.
Fair enough. If you do not require that information, then that information will not be extended to you. Just wanted to be curious and see if you would like it or not. It seems as if your passion is strictly adhered to the underground. Let me ask you
Plan
this.
before everything else.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me ask you this. How do you suppose to populate your own spawning pool?
Well, first off, snapping turtles bite like fucking sharks. You can buy those at any pet store, and I've got a way to get somebody to a pet store.
Mm-hmm.
The art that I formerly and still currently do from time to time still sells well enough that I can afford things. And I can easily buy snakes, rats, mice, dogs, cats, whatever we need for the sewers. The larger animals are going to be a bit more of a problem, considering I don't really know where to find an alligator in Texas.
Okay.
I know
we can
there's
go ahead.
coyotes, wolves, things like that. We can get those easily enough if somebody could find them.
Okay. We will go ahead and try to find more locations of these creatures. If you're concerned about the underground, or if you're concerned about hidden places to find yourself and locate these spawning pools, any places, any bulk holes, any armories you need, go ahead and ping me. I can go ahead and give you at least 3 different prime locations for each one of those requests.
The more spawning pools we have, the better.
That may be true, and there are certainly several different waterlogged chambers, but there are certain shafts that I've set aside for arsenal, weaponry, bunkers, and the like.
So we've got doom bunkers.
Oh yes, we have doom bunkers.
Fantastic. He's actually giggling too. Nazri thinks this is great. This is like Christmas.
Dear Lord, somewhere within these tunnels I have an armored car.
I just shot tea out of my nose.
Nazrul goes ahead and snorts blood and vitae out of his nose.
Excuse me?
The underground is our playground, and the underground is a labyrinth and maze to those that we dislike. Hell,
Random question. Have you ever seen The Italian Job?
yes.
Can we get some like Mini Coopers down here?
We can
Armor those things out?
We can certainly try. We might have to use the deepest for most of those interconnections for the bigger vehicles. Oh, fuck that. We're not using bigger vehicles. We're using those small-ass Italian Cooper cars. Well, we can try to wrangle something.
This... One more question. Why haven't we explored the deepest yet? Aside from lack of manpower, which is a good enough reason for me at this point.
We have not explored the deepest for a few different reasons. One of which is my personal reason. I'm a little bit superstitious about the deepest. Here's the thing. It always seems as if you're supposed to hit rock bottom at some point, but the further down you go, the more cavernous it seems, and the more empty it appears. It gets to be a point to where you're simply walking in this complete and utter darkness, and for yards, perhaps even miles around you, there's absolutely nothing. It's a bit disconcerting.
Actually, that sounds like the best place to have warrens ever.
Like I said, it's a bit disconcerting, especially if you've been down there for more than a few hours and you start hearing things.
That's why you gotta stay down there. You gotta get used to it.
There are certain dark corners of this earth that I'm not willing to explore quite yet, at least not without decent backup. Anything could be down there. Anything. I'm not even exaggerating. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but just the suspicion and the superstition that I currently have keeps me from doing so. There have been much more pressing concerns on my mind. That being to jet out those jackass 4 horsemen and to make sure that this clan is respected topside.
Well, you worry about topside, I'll worry about the deepest, and maybe getting some night vision goggles and working on inhabiting the deepest.
It's a good idea. Good idea. Let's see, what can I offer you in that effort? Well, places, the armories, what else? Well, I was going to wax lazy about the man behind me. And you notice that behind Baker there happens to be the second portrait off to the side, there is another portrait. You recognize that this is obviously a Nosferatu, disgusting face that it is, one of which happens to be covered completely and utterly in barbed wire. Barbed wire that starts from the head and sort of winds down over his forehead, over his eyes, his ears, his mouth, leading on to the rest of his body. But it seems as if that barbed wire man, that barbed wire Nosferatu, is simply very, very happily smiling at you, has a very, very, I shouldn't say smiling, but a very, very austere face, a face of authority, even though it is being marred by these crisscrossing barbed wires meant to inflict harm and pain. And the portrait on the left is of somebody that is obviously smelly. You look at the portrait and you can imagine if you were in a presence of this Nosferatu, you'd be cringing your nose if you needed to breathe. He is pudgy, he is fat, he is a bad, bad complexion. You can imagine sneak lines being, drawn on them.
Yeah. Who are they?
Oh, the one on the left, he says, pointing to the fat and bloated one. That one is Uncle Roach. Uncle Roach is my sire, actually. He decided to be egotistical one of these nights and have a portrait drawn for him and send it over. And might as well keep the old man happy. I set it here, and I've been waiting for somebody to go ahead and display it to. The other one? That one I keep personally. That one is a man I actually revere quite a lot. That man, he fought things. Things that the other people would go ahead and gawk at. He was a fantastic leader amongst kindred and other creatures alike. He himself personally rescued one of our clanmates from certain death, from a Chimera chantry that was being besieged by lupines. With not a care for his own unlife, he was able to rescue one of our clanmates from the claws and fangs of the lupines. Name him Mr. Silas.
I've never heard of him. Does he have any fame or anything like that?
Oh, he has Clam Fame 5.
Then he probably would. Oh, I recognize that name from somewhere.
Yeah. After that, he became prince of the city that he was currently residing in, but that seemed pitiful compared to the other achievements he did.
Do I dare ask?
What?
What else has he done?
Let's see. There's a more detailed report about his involvement in the Tremere Lupine situation, and his rise to princedom is also well documented. He was also able to encounter several different things in his stay. He wrote up detailed reports and sent them back to the clan proper. Maybe one of these days you'd be able to read some of his own personal reports, with the big stories, that being his defense of the Tremere against the Lupines and his rise to princedom. They're well-documented cases.
And I'm sure I can find those on StrikeNet.
Of course. I've been boasting about this for far too long. Excuse me. You must think me an utter hack.
No, I don't usually get to talk to a whole lot of people.
Well, we do think you are that, whatever it means.
I usually keep to myself underground.
So does this one. He points over to Mouse.
What?
I believe you two are going to get along well together.
Speak to each other because we're always down here by ourselves and not talking to each other. Although, if she does want to, and he's going to look at Mouse and say, I could use a hand clearing out the some of the tunnels. I actually used to do some sculpting back in my day, and I wouldn't mind carving out the tunnels and decorating a bit.
Mouse blinks. What's sculpting?
Carving the walls to make them look, well, pretty to us. Thing is, Jimsy would shit his pants if he came down here.
Why would you want things pretty? They need to be.
Pretty for us.
They need to be. Good. They need to be in a way that you could use them well.
That's part of the thing.
It's not pretty. It's usually not necessary.
It's not necessary, but if you turn a corner and aren't expecting to see a face carved out of stone that looks like it got hit by a bus, it'll tend to distract you long enough for a trap to be spraying.
Trap. What's that?
You notice that Baker is holding his hand in his face, sort of scratching it. Damn it.
Is he face palming?
No, he's more lamenting. This is less comical and more, oh dear God, why?
But if you have one of those pretty faces in a thing, then and that shoots a thing, that might work. I can make that.
You two seem with the times enough that you may have seen movies. Indiana Jones. Remember the scene where he was running through a room and there were eyeballs and faces and they were shooting blowgun darts?
That. I mean that. Yes.
That's what I was referring to. I can just make the faces a little bit more grotesque and more likely to startle people when they're not expecting them.
If you could also set up a gigantic boulder to crush people, that'd be awesome.
If I can sculpt it, I can do it. I will be totally happy to crush people with a giant boulder.
Can do that. I think. Yeah.
I can see Nazri and Mouse getting along splendidly now. Just like, let's make traps. Spike traps, pit traps.
What are those?
Spike traps.
Mm-hmm.
Spikes just shooting out of the wall.
Can make. I made those.
Pit traps, false floors.
Like, yeah. Made those.
Collapsible ceilings.
What's the ceiling?
Roof.
Right. Yes. Made those.
Nazri's gonna look at Baker and say, "Where did you find her, and where can I get one?"
Smile. I'm not selling. I'm not sharing that particular secret.
Damn. More. Nazri's going to look at Mouse and say, well, once the spawning pools have begun, we can talk traps.
What are these traps you keep talking about?
Nazri's going to do the exact same thing Baker was doing and just holding his head and just...
Mouse, if you have something else that you need to do, you are dismissed to go ahead and resolve that.
You don't want me here.
I need to talk with Jonathan about a few things.
You are such a thing that you sit on. You are such a thing that you sit on.
An ass here. An ass.
I mean that. I mean an ass. You're such an ass.
Jason's laughing as hard as I am.
Fine. I'll be there making that thing if you need me. She points to one of the exits. Starts wrapping the scarf and the hood around her face, and a pile of clothing will wobble off again.
It was nice to meet you, Mouse.
You'll get no reply, but the door slams shut kind of hard.
Worth it.
She is recovering. She's getting better. I can tell that she's getting better. But, yeah.
As long as she doesn't forget where she's put the traps, I'm okay. Because if
Fair
she
enough.
forgets where she puts the traps, and I find one of those traps, I'm not going to be okay.
Don't worry, she'll keep your safety in the force of her mind, and even if she can't say anything quick enough, she'll quickly grab you and pull you away before a shotgun goes off in your face.
We should have had her head up to the first of the spawning pools before she left.
Don't worry, I'll make sure that everybody that resides within my domain will go ahead and donate to your pool.
Do we have
Yes.
a map of the sewers, actually?
Oh, if we had a map on file, that would be way too easy to steal. No, everything's in my head, and I can provide you with directions and instructions.
The more detailed, the better.
Definitely. I'll go ahead and give you detailed instructions on several of different bunkers that we use, the shafts, workstations, and several of those waterlogged chambers. Can I ask you
And-
for a personal favor?
Of course.
Would you mind if you did work very closely with Mouse and converse with her just for shits and giggles? She's getting better. The accident is starting to reverse itself, but I can't give her the kind of attention that she needs, or perhaps I've done everything I can to get her back to working shape. I
You
believe
just
that
want me to help her
converses.
remember how to speak and remember words and that kind of thing.
Use flashcards?
Nazari's going to actually stop and get this to look like he's really thinking about it really, really hard. And he's going to have that look for a long time. And finally he'll just nod slowly at first and then more definitively and say, I can do that. Maybe not with flashcards, but I'll see if I can't help her regain her linguistic ability.
Thank you. I want my mouse back.
I can't blame you. I'm eager to see what she can help me do with traps.
Sure. In any case, if your passion is towards the Warrens, right, I think I've given you all the information that you need for that particular duty. But do you require any other questions to be answered?
No, but I'm supposed to meet with the prince at some point tonight, if I recall correctly. Was that meeting ever actually set up?
The meeting was arranged. You will be meeting Miss Silverberg within, I believe, her art museum gallery or art exhibit. I have no idea. The Toreador tend to move around too much.
So I have to put on my happy, pretty face and smile politely.
Also, wear an actual mask. Use your obfuscated face, but also wear a actual textured mask underneath.
Something along the lines of latex?
That would work.
I can handle that. I should get back to the spawning pool and see if I can find any more of these waterlogged chambers you were talking about. And, by the way, where... where are the sisters? And at that point, Nasri's going to frown and look like he's up to something either really, really awesome or something that's going to make the undergrounds completely hollow and the city's just going to fall into it.
What is your interest in this, sisters?
Actually, remember when we were on Shreknet and they were giving me all those really bad ideas that I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to do anyway?
Mm-hmm.
I need more of those. Not to mention, when we were at the Hearth last night, I couldn't figure out, and I still can't figure out which one is which. Not that it really matters, because they look fucking identical. But that's a puzzle. Just their existence intrigues the shit out of me, and I'm gonna unravel that ball of string.
Oh, good luck with you on that one, then. Usually I get in contact with the sisters the way you could get in contact with the sisters, over the net.
They never gave you their phone number?
They did, but I'm not giving it out.
They gave me their phone number.
Well, apparently they give their phone number to every single bull Nosferatu they meet. I think they have a thing.
Or they really like us. We are charming individuals.
Oh, yes, absolutely charming individuals.
Well, we haven't tried to blow snot rockets at each other, so there's that.
I was waiting for it. Didn't happen.
We could go outside and have a contest. I don't know. I was just going to go back up to the spawning pool and bleed some more, but...
How are you dealing with your blood situation, then?
Actually, I showed up prepared to starve for a few days.
Fair dues. If you need some feeding grounds or hunting grounds, I can give you part of my own personal warrens to go ahead and feed off of. I don't really use it that much.
Actually, discretion being the better part of valor, I would just say one of the... I've got a patron that enjoys my art, and I enjoy my patron if I need to.
Ah, say no more.
Speaking of art, how pissed off would the roses be if I showed up with something that makes their art look like crap?
They would, but I would not care.
I wouldn't either. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to end up getting staked and baked because I made a Toreador look bad. I make all the Toreador look bad, and I could totally give a shit. I'd just like to know I'm going to survive it. Hence, one of the reasons I would like the spawning pools done quickly.
Believe me, Jonathan, should a Toreador ever lay a finger on you, they would have to answer to me. And they do not want to answer to me, because I will go to their places, and I will stink their shit up. I will raise high heaven. Believe me, dog shit will be the worst of their problems. The least of their problems.
Not to mention, I'm still all about getting really bad ideas from the sisters.
So long as you can keep the Warrens well maintained and safe, I have no issue with this. You have taken on the responsibility for the undergrounds.
Nazar's just going to kind of scratch his eyebrow, and he's, you know that smirk that you get when you know that you are in like the best place you could possibly be?
Mm-hmm.
He's got that plastered all over his face. He's clearly happy with the situation.
Anything else that you need me for? Do we all need to disappear?
No, but I will let you know. Obviously, you know where one of the spawning pools is going to be, but as I set up others, I will let you know.
Sounds fantastic.
At one point in the future, we should figure out where the line between Primogen and Warren Chief is, so we're not clashing. But that can wait, because right now I'm the new guy, and I really don't care as long as I get to build the spawning pools.
Believe me, should you step out of line in my eye, I will let you know.
It's why I would eventually want to figure out where the lines are drawn so we're not conflicting.
A discussion to be had at length, I understand.
Well, I will leave you to your domain and I will start spawning pools. At that, he will offer another handshake and start making his way towards the door.
Mm-hmm. You certainly can. The shake is definitely received. You are definitely well on your way out.
Oh. Yeah, I'm good with the scene ending here, because
Alright, fair dues.
Azri's a happy camper.
Fair dues. I can provide the outro. So ends another scene within the dark, dingy, ill-kept, decrepit underground of Independence, where monsters talk civilly, where monsters have their history, their projects, and where monsters have a little bit of heart to them. Although I swear to fucking God, if you ever come near this underground, we will tear your ass apart with Cthulhian horrors!